Okay, we got segment number 3 on quick couplings here, and what we're going to talk about here is maintenance. Quick couplings are not just something you have on your tractor and you can completely forget about. These are, cast iron parts that slide together and apart, and they do require some lubrication. You can see that this is slightly wet, moist looking with grease, and probably some dirt mixed in there as well, as this is our demo tractor, so it gets used a lot. Occasional greasing of the male and female components is absolutely necessary. If these things get dried out looking, they're going to get rusty, and then what you have is not a quick coupling anymore. It's simply a wrenchless connection. You have to fight it apart and together because it's all gritty and nasty. So some light lubricant is necessary. The type of lubricant is not as important as getting lubricant on it and having something that will last. Something like WD-40 is not going to last that long, a couple weeks, and the stuff evaporates. Some kind of light grease or a lanolin product like fluid film works really well. If you're going to use just regular grease gun type universal grease, that's fine. That's what we've got on here. But don't apply it too liberally. If you get huge mounds of grease on there, it's just going to attract extra grit. You just want, the couplings, moist looking. When you take them apart, if they're not moist looking, apply a little grease. Occasional cleaning of the quick couplings, maybe once a year. You can wash them off with gasoline to get the accumulated grit that gets caked on there over the hours of use. Get that all off of there, and then the quick couplings work a little smoother once you re-grease them. And most importantly, most folks forget that these nuts are actually what is bearing the weight of the implement being attached to the tractor. These are the original studs and nuts that if the tractor was not equipped with a quick coupling system, these studs and nuts would be bolting this flange of the implement right directly to the blue flange of the tractor, or gray in the case of a Grillo tractor. But regardless, the quick coupling's not there. These nuts are holding on your implement. And these nuts are still holding on your implement even though you've got a quick coupling. They're just doing it via the quick coupling. So folks with quick couplings tend to forget that these nuts are doing anything here. Well, guess what? When you run this tractor for a couple years and you're handling hundreds of pounds of implements over acres of ground, these nuts might loosen up, which is just normal metal fatigue. Nothing wrong with them. They just get loose after a while because of the way metal moves around and compresses. So these nuts need to be tightened occasionally. If you don't tighten these nuts ever, what's going to happen is one day one of them is going to work loose, and the other one's going to be bearing all the weight, and it's going to break off. Now you've got a broken off stud in your transmission housing that you've got to drill out. Not a fun job. Replacing the studs is relatively inexpensive. They're about $2.50 a piece. Nuts are about 95 cents. They're cheap to maintain, easy to tighten. You put a wrench on them once or twice a year, and just make sure they're good and tight. The nuts holding the male portion of the coupling onto the onto the implement can also be tightened occasionally. Some implements have an integrated quick coupling where there is no nuts and bolts holding the quick coupling on. In that case, you don't have to worry about it. And that pretty much takes care of maintenance of quick couplings. Occasional lubrication, tightening occasionally here. In rocky soils, using soil working attachments, you want to tighten these more often, maybe once a month. That's it.